All right, people of the world, human beings in the world of the entrepreneurial space, athletic space, human race, everybody. Really excited about this guest. He is a young man by the name of Bryce Betts, attends UNLV college, and the reason why I wanted to have him on the show is because he actually designed the book cover of mine and a lot of my logos and artwork on my website and a lot of other stuff that I do. Young man named Bryce Betts of Bryce Betts Design. Really happy to have him on. And the reason why I wanted to have him on the Gold Medal Mindset is because of his unique view into figuring out problems and making that hustle work and not waiting till he graduates college to get a job. This is the Gold Medal Mindset, where we bring you all things winning in business, sport, and life. I'm Dr. Jason Richardson. Thanks for joining in. Get ready to mine for gold as we challenge your perception to change your results. Bryce, how you doing?
Good, Jason. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Yeah, why are you excited to be on?
I'm a big fan. I listen. I made the podcast artwork, so I'm a little bit biased in the show, but
oh yeah, I
really
forgot
enjoy
about that. You did make the podcast artwork.
but I do enjoy listening in on my 20-minute commute to school in the morning.
Cool. Well, you probably listen going in and coming out because a lot of the interview shows are like they've been averaging like 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah, so it's perfect. I come in, I listen, and then I pause it, and then on my way home I finish it up.
So we can go a lot of different directions with this show. We can talk education, we can talk mindset, obviously, but I think that the mindset stuff usually kind of comes with just by way of talking in general, because I think the people start to hear the mindset come through your words and your actions. But education and business, and more importantly, you didn't have a traditional K through 5 education, did you?
No, I did Montessori. I've done about every single form of lower education, I think. I did Montessori school through 8th grade. After 8th grade, I went to online school for high school freshman year, which was, if you're very familiar with Montessori, it's super hands-on. So going from the most hands-on to the least hands-on was a little bit of a transition, but I did learn a little bit about myself and accountability through my mistakes as a 14, 15-year-old. I went from there to independent study. So I went in, met with my teacher once a week, and we did packets. And while I was doing independent study, I did concurrent enrollment at my community college. So I did some classes at community college in high school, and then I rounded out my senior year at a traditional school, and I got the normal experience. So I know there's more forms, but I feel like I had pretty broad range.
No, I think you did all of it. But what caught me about your quick history of your primary education was you said, I learned about my mistakes and how to deal with that. So 14 and 15-year-olds don't think like that. I mean, how old are you now, 21?
I'm 22 now.
You're old.
I just had a birthday.
But 21 and 22-year-olds barely talk or think like that. But you're saying this at 14 or 15, or at least you dealt with it at 14 or 15. So the transition from Montessori to transition from a hands-off to a more hands-on situation. What would you attribute not your accountability, but your adaptability to?
Mistakes. My first semester was terrible at my online school as a young kid. I don't think I really realized how important freshman year really was. I always kind of thought just the older years when I was applying to colleges mattered, so I didn't really try that hard, and I just kind of waited because there's no teacher there. So Montessori, super hands-on. I'd had small classrooms, and I wasn't always like ahead of my classes, but I think through the school and being very hands-on, I was able to learn more and work on some of my weaknesses with English. I really struggled with at a young age, but now I do journalism and stuff, so English definitely isn't a struggle for me now. But I just think I came from this super hands-on. I saw the teacher every day, and when there's only 7 kids in the class, like you can't really hide behind anyone.
Right.
and then I go to online school, and I went to a pretty good online school. They had teachers that did lectures, and I've seen some other programs, and I don't think it was bad by any means, but just not seeing the teacher and that accountability, I would put things off, and I would get it done, but just in the last stretch, I waited. So I learned a little bit about procrastination. I think everyone does in school.
Did you learn about it or did you master it? Come on, be real.
I haven't mastered it, but I have read Rework. I don't know who it's by. Let me look. Rework, this book right here by Jason Fried. That was a good book about procrastination if anyone struggles with it. But I think I learned my mistake, and I realized what I did, and you just learn about yourself when you mess up. So I now know, like, I think it was good for me, because if I always stayed in, like, kind of being coddled through school, I don't know if I would have been able to be as independent as I am now.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me the most. I mean, you're kind of, I would call you an old soul of sorts, but you're kind of a rarity, I think, amongst your generation, in that you are super independent with things. Like you'll just hit the road, go do something.
Yeah.
You'll figure out a way to pay for school. I mean, we were just talking before I pressed record, and you were talking about how you're going to pay for next year with whatever 5 hustles you have going on between now and summer.
Yeah.
Little things like, we obviously follow each other on Facebook and in the social sphere, but I'm just watching you, and it's like, you'll put out these mini advertisements before a bicycle race saying, hey, I'm only going to make 100 of these, number plates. And then, the next thing you know, you're pulling up at the next race with a bunch of vinyl, and you're cutting stuff out, and you're constantly hustling, like, and I don't know, like, I don't know whether to be more impressed or insulted, because I was so not the hustler at that age. I mean, I was just focused on my sport and graduating, but other than that, I mean, I don't know, I can't help but think you have this huge head start. Not that it's a race, but you have this huge head start on your own life. Forget, like, you being compared to other people your age, but a head start on your own life. Do you see it that way, or is it just kind of how you roll?
I think it's just kind of how I roll. I want certain things in life, whether it is I want to go to a race in New Zealand, or I want to go to school in Las Vegas, or whatever it is, or I want to be mentored by you. Whenever I just set my mind to something, and I kind of think anything's possible. And my dad's owned his own business his whole life, so I think that had a big impact on me. And I just I never really, I don't know if I don't take no for an answer, but I just think there's always a way, and I'll just try a few times, and then eventually one of them works, right? Just throw it at the wall.
I guess, but no, I mean, don't say right to me, because I don't know, but you said I don't take no for an answer, but I don't think you ask. I think you just kind of like.
Well, I guess
I mean, who do you ask?
In an indirect way.
Do you ask anyone to do any of the ventures you said? I remember, I mean, that's how our relationship started, right? I kind of just was saying, hey, redoing my website, or no, building my website, and you just volunteered, and I didn't even know that my website was your first website.
Can I give you my background on that?
Please give everybody the background on it.
So I think I was 16 at the time, and we were in a race. We were actually on the same bike team.
Yeah, I was consulting for Phoenix Bicycles, and for the people who don't know, Phoenix Bicycles started as a scooter company, like Razor scooter, but scooter company, and they became a huge scooter company, and they got into bikes, and so I was consulting with them, and as a default, kind of riding for them. So we were on the same team.
Yeah, so I started riding for them, and I met you for the first time at this national in Vegas. I remember it vividly. There was this stall, because it's in an indoor arena, so same stall that horses would be in, and we had all our gear in there, and it was just me and you. And you didn't. I don't think you even knew me, but I knew you. There's a lot of pros that I looked up to that you've worked with in the past, and at this time I really wanted to be a successful BMX racer, and I knew you could help me get there, but I didn't really know how to make that happen. This was kind of like at the end of the recession. My dad's in construction, so not very not very good during the recession, and I definitely knew my parents weren't going to be able to help me use your services. So I was too young. I didn't even have a job at the time, so I didn't really know how to use your services. But I was just talking to you, and somehow it came up that you needed help with a website, or you needed something, and I was doing a little bit of graphic design, so I figured I could learn how to make a website. So I confidently said I can make you a website, and I just acted like I knew everything I did, and I was on YouTube trying to figure it out, and took a little bit longer than I think I promised, but we got you a website, and then in trade you were helping me a little bit with my mindset, and I was getting some tips, and in return my racing results was getting better, and I was getting closer to my goals.
Man, see, again, should I be impressed or insulted? I don't know. Fine line. No, but that's, I mean, but if there's people who pay for that. I mean, they pay to be told what you just said, because there's this whole thing about what is it called? MVP, minimally viable product. That's a thing in the entrepreneurial space. You go to XYZ 123's training. I'm not going to name names, but you sign up for this training, or you sign up for this kind of how to make money online or whatever. And a lot of the times they, in some way, shape, or form, they will tell you, and I'm going to butcher it, that hey, you don't necessarily need to have the finished product before you go to market. If it's a 10-week program, just start with one, and sell it, and then just keep produce as you go. And so it's brilliant, I suppose. I don't know if everyone's comfortable with that. That's where I come in, to help people get comfortable with that kind of stuff and keep forging ahead. But my point is, you're doing naturally what people pay for. So I want to get into that. Like, where do you think that comes from you? I mean, is it something that you learned? Is it something that you saw? Or is it just in you?
I think it's partly in you, and then also just a lot of influences growing up. Like I said, with my dad having his own business, and my mom also, she's always been just growing up in school, or like she's just always told me there's a way to do things, and you just have to figure it out. So I guess I just was taught with that, and I never really questioned it. And then on the mentor side of things, I mean, my dad, I guess he probably identified myself as maybe someone interested in business at a young age, and he would play Rich Dad Poor Dad tapes. I remember I was like 10 or 12, and I would listen to the story. Yeah, and so like through mentors in there, I think I learned the importance of that, and I've just always kind of seeked people throughout my life that can help me get where I want. But then in trade, I always like to try to help people as well, like make a fair trade, especially when you're young and don't have really gas money or food money, so you can't pay for these people that are established in industry, whether it's coaching or biking. I hear you,
so. And I just got off a coaching call, young woman, super smart, but really bootstrapping. I mean, doesn't have much of a network, and she wants to start a shoe company and kind of like a high-end premium product. And she was asking about, how do I reach out to Instagram people and get and I was just describing, well, yeah, you do it, but I was also saying, well, it's kind of hard to just reach out and say, hey, can you do this for me, when they have no context, no relationship. And so again, you're nailing it. It's like, okay, I want help from this person. They'll probably help me more if I can provide value to them.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it seems like it's a no-duh thing, and I'm not trying to get on anyone's case from a generational standpoint. This isn't a millennial rant or anything like that, but do see quite a bit of, crowdfund this and GoFundMe that, and when I see those, I'm like, oh wow, that's a great idea. But then after, if I give my $20 or $100 or $1,000, I'm thinking, well, do I like get a discount on that product? Are they gonna? Am I part owner? Like, am I just gonna help them? Just
what's the point?
Because it's cool. Like,
yeah, I agree. And so myself, a little more background on that. I do see all the time crowdfunding and GoFundMe, and we're in a bicycle motocross. So in there's people all the time that help me go to this race in Oklahoma, help me do this and this, and no one really no one ever provides value. And myself, I was in a position where 2013, after a few years of coaching, I qualified, or coaching from you, I was able to qualify for the World Championships as a junior elite in New Zealand. And I knew I was going the whole time, but I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. So I just had to be creative, and I didn't want to do the traditional GoFundMe like a lot of people, because I hate I don't
begging?
like begging it. I don't.
Hey,
I also don't like the word hate.
I want to go race my bike in a different country. Pay for it.
I feel bad. So I sold some T-shirts. I think I sold 85 T-shirts. And I reached out to some of my friends, like Connor Fields, now Olympic gold medalist. He's been on this show. Barry Noble's social media influencer, and they posted pictures in my T-shirts. I did the first USA BMX is the sanctioning body. And I messaged him like, hey, could we give away a T-shirt on your Facebook page and just let them know that I'm selling them? And they did it as their first giveaway on Facebook. And they have, I don't know, 40,000 likes. And that was just because I sent them a message. And I mean, I had a little bit of a relationship, but I really just found a way. And I never begged. People did donate extra, or I would do coaching for kids and for donation only. And some people were very generous, and I'm thankful for that. But I definitely, I think my campaign was so much more successful. People would have donated, but by offering a product, people get behind that, and then, or value, and then you get what you want.
Novelty, right? That's a novelty.
Yeah.
But you're nailing the system, right? So that's the other piece, is learning how to work the system, which again seems to be kind of natural. You're kind of saying, all right, I want to go to this race. I want, and I love that. Like that, you're like the way you're talking is such. I mean, it's such the seminar like 101. Don't worry about the how, and but this is how you're living it, right? Like,
yeah.
I knew I was going to the race. I just didn't know how I was going to get there, and then when I get there, I'll, So it's funny, and it's also refreshing to hear it. But again, how old were you then? So you were junior, so you were 17 or 18, right? So you're not even 19.
In high school.
And you did end up going.
Yeah. You
did end up going to New Zealand, so.
Yeah,
nice.
That was one of my best trips. And then I spent a week in Australia after, so my fundraising did well, and I'm super thankful for that.
Nice. So how many hustles, projects do you have going on? Aside from being a full-time college student, like how much?
I was thinking about this.
Let's count them out. Let's do this out loud.
In my car today, I knew we were doing this podcast, and I was thinking how to introduce myself. So it's hard. I'm a full-time student, business student, entrepreneurship major, and I do weekly clinics at the bike track. So I teach kids how to race BMX.
Okay, that's one.
You're
not counting school.
I do graphic design, and then under graphic design, there's a lot of different avenues. I'll do websites for people. I'll do design T-shirts for some people. I have a whole, like, the main thing is kind of I make bicycle number plates, but then I've kind of reached out to different people, and I make, let's say one example is I make the merch for this kid Tanner Fox. He has almost 5 million YouTube subscribers, and that all came from I just sent him a message on Twitter, and he needed some T-shirts designed. He had a big following, and I showed him some of my work, and then we just started working together. So that was another example of just finding someone that I wanted to work with and working with him. I'm trying to think.
So I have 5 right now, and like 4 of them are kind of, or 2 of, I don't know, I think 3 or 4 of them are under the graphic design piece.
Yeah. Well, let me hear some of yours, because I forget sometimes.
What, my hustles or your hustles? You're the guest.
I don't know. Okay,
No, I have 5 that you just named is my point.
Oh, 5. Okay, I didn't think I named 5. Yeah. Really, if someone needs something that I feel like I can do, I kind of just do it. So the opportunities come up all the time, and I think those are my main hustles. And then I'm going to do summer camps. I do some journalism in BMX. I guess that's another thing. I write for BMX News.
I guess.
Yeah,
and your YouTube channel.
YouTube channel. Follow me, Bryce Betts. I make fun vlogs. I haven't really I haven't made that what I want yet. But
Yeah, they're very
that's the
specific,
start.
and obviously the world that you're coming out of, it's very specific to bicycle racing, BMX specifically. But you have done work because there's a lot of people that participate in BMX, and they may come from, I don't know, pool cleaning. They may come from HP. They may come from, whatever space that's led to other work outside of the industry, correct?
Yeah. I mean, most people know every seminar, book, podcast, like relationships. So you just meet a lot of people within BMX. A lot of people have their own businesses or friends, and so I mean, I've done some pretty cool projects within BMX. I did the frame graphics for the Olympic champion Connor Fields. Outside of BMX, I've done some cool things. Like I made the popcorn bags for Oracle Arena with the Warriors. That was just a friend from school. His dad has a popcorn company, and he wanted to pitch to the Warriors that we could do their popcorn, and they needed graphics. So I made their graphics, and then
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's one of my coolest things that I've done. I think.
So you go to a Warriors game. There's a bunch of people eating popcorn out of a bag, and you designed the bag.
Yeah, but
nice.
I haven't been able to go yet, but I want to go.
They should at least send you a bag.
I know. I haven't asked. I guess I'm gonna, after I get off this call, I'm gonna ask for a
Get
popcorn.
like a bag of bags. That way, when you have people over, you can serve them popcorn in the bag.
Well, thanks for that's why we talk, Jason, because you always give me good ideas.
Well, I'm a host, so I know how to host people. What else, Bryce? Did we say we were going to talk about?
I don't have my notes. I'm kind of shooting from my waist, but I know we big focus was mentors, education,
right. Mentorship. So you said, okay, I want to somehow work with Jason. I don't know how, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So you reached out and did the website, and obviously, we actually done a lot of work together. Well, you're a mentor too. There's one other hustle you forgot about.
Yeah.
Life Advantages Prep. So tell me about that. Yeah,
so obviously I value mentorship, but then I want to mentor people in the other side of things. So I always try to look for some kids, and there was a great opportunity with Life Advantages Prep, which is a online high school preparatory school, and through that we made a pretty cool program where you get a mentor. There's a program that, Jason, I believe you designed, right?
Yeah, Dr. Bill Redford and I have partnered up on it. It's actually his brainchild, and I basically plugged the mindset piece into it.
Yeah, so with my background from all the different types of school, I think I'm pretty good for the confused high school kid that doesn't really know what to do come finals week. So there's athletic kids in the program, and we'll talk about stuff like outside of school and then also within school, and then juggling school and athletics. So that's one of my mentors. And then I also, through BMX, there's a few kids that sometimes I identify as kids that I see a lot of myself in, and I'll help them out, and I'll take them out to eat, and we'll talk about how life's going, and I'm try to just make sure that they have goals and they're working towards stuff, so they're doing the right thing.
You said you're a business major with an entrepreneur emphasis?
Focus, yeah.
Focus. So since you've been entrepreneuring for so long, and even before you got into school, what would you say is legit from an academic standpoint? And what would you say is they probably could rewrite that book or rewrite that concept?
So I'm just a junior, so I haven't done a lot of the specific entrepreneurship programs. The program at UNLV, I've looked at a lot of the entrepreneurship programs, and they all seem pretty similar, but it kind of excites me, honestly. You just the capstone is kind of making a mock business, basically, and you write a whole business plan, and at the end you pitch it to some angel investors within the school fund, and if it's scalable, they could take that and run. But for me, I've always, as a kid, I always pictured myself going to college, and if I'm going to go to college, I'm going to pick something that interests me the most. I think it's important. And then there's also a lot of the other things that you don't know. I mean, just accounting and that kind of stuff. And I mean, I guess I haven't. I'm only 22, so I haven't gone to the next step to know how much of it was BS. But I definitely do. I mean, as you do as well, value that education.
For sure. No, I'm not, and I'm not trying to have you rail on education. But
yeah.
Since you've essentially been running a business.
Okay, well,
I'm
yeah.
thinking, all
I
right,
guess
so
I
he's
will
in
say,
classes, taking this, taking that. There's a lot of stuff, yes, accounting,
yeah.
some of the marketing stuff, especially learning the technical, at least the terminology at the very least for some of the
Mhm.
stuff you're already doing. But then I got to think there's some stuff where you're going, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I kind of
I
do it
think,
this.
yeah, I've noticed people, they seem to think that every I needs to be dotted and every T needs to be crossed and everything needs to be so grand and perfect before you launch or before you try. And I mean, that's nice, but in reality, I mean, it's kind of hard to have everything perfect. And even once it is perfect, you want to be better and you always want to make your product, your business, your service, whatever it is better. So why not just start now and with a plan and with you want to know where you're going and have that outlined. But I think probably at least a lot of the peers that I've talked to within school, they have these ideas that are monstrous with apps and whatever kids are dreaming of. But I mean, they could just start on a smaller scale and test it out in Vegas and get it going and then let it grow from there. I don't think that they think they need to spend 2 years writing a business plan, get approval from this person, and get advice from this and take 5 seminars. And it's just like, just start and you'll learn way more in your first month of business than your 10 years of planning that will probably never happen.
Hey, it might happen. It might happen.
I've never seen it, but I'm
Okay.
still young, so maybe it will.
Well, have a little faith in your classmates. You never know. You might be the angel investor in 10 years for all we know.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. That would be nice. So do you have an idea of what your project's going to be?
No, I honestly, I'm glad I haven't shared with you because it changes like monthly. I have a lot of ideas.
Well, you have some time.
I have some time. I definitely I want to make it something tangible. So if I have to go through all this work of setting everything up, I want to just do it anyway. So that's the main thing is I have to decide something that I'm passionate enough to stick with and not just something that I think is going to make a bunch of money. Because if I don't care about it, well, one, it's not going to be successful, and two, I don't want to spend my time on it because I don't like it.
So have you ever worked on something you're not passionate about? That's kind of almost an incriminating question, but that's how we roll here. I'm putting you on the spot.
I'm thinking I mean I've fired clients that
I
have
love this. I fired clients.
if it's honestly I mean I have rent, I have food and stuff, so there's times when maybe it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but at the end of the day, if I look back at myself, like this morning I made some logos for a client, and then I was able to go ride my bike, and then I came back and I had a review on the logos, and I'm going to change it up, but I was able to live my normal life and hang out at the bike track all day, and I mean I don't think you could really say that is not great.
No, that's pretty awesome. I want to know what it takes to get fired as a client from Bryce Betts.
Well, hopefully it never happens to you, right? But there's just
and thank you for that, because I know I can be difficult.
no, you could be much more difficult. Graphic is a very interesting it's an interesting business to be in. I'm kind of thankful that I have some artistic ability in me to learn, because it's honestly really hard to be a graphic designer or photographer or something in the arts, because you never invite a plumber over and expect him to just work for free. Or you never have your car worked on and just like, yeah, could you just try this and this and this? But since graphics it's in the computer, it's a little bit of a newer field. Some people aren't used to paying going rates for that, and it's hard to be paid, and a lot of people want to just keep doing and change this and if I mean at the end of the I mean maybe I'm just a stubborn artist that's stuck on his ways, but we need to be on the same page, and we make changes and stuff, but you can't just expect me to work for a month for free. I mean, that makes no sense.
It's kind of like when you're a consultant and people will call you and say, hey, I need to pick your brain about...
Yeah, that's probably another... Maybe it's intangible goods or services.
It is difficult. It is difficult. And it's one thing when you have a... And part of it is a gut feeling too, like, hey, this could lead to something really good, or you just like the product or the project, I should say, and it's like, okay, yeah. I want in because I've never done this before, or I'll grow because of it, or it may lead to something else. But it's another thing when it's well within your wheelhouse. They know that it is what you do, and they're just like, oh yeah, a cup of coffee will do it, and then like I can ask you these technical questions about how you do your job, and help me. There's a bit of a rub there for sure.
I agree. I don't want to sound like the stubborn artist, but I have done projects for trade or for less than face value, but it has to be an agreement. An extra hustle that I do, not financially, but I'm on the board, and I don't know if I'm going to become president, but I'm on my way up in the Student Association of Graphic Artists at UNLV.
Oh man,
and
political. It's getting political now.
and we have through the club, what we do is we interview industry people, whether they're within the school or outside of the school, which is cool for me because I'm able to have an excuse to reach out to some of the people that I like, and we interview them and ask them questions. And one thing someone said to me that I really liked was, if you are to work for something for free, it has to be on your terms. So this actually happened to me recently with a pretty large client. I won't name any names, but it'd be really good in a resume to work with this company, and they've helped me out a lot. So I was doing some things on the side on the weekend, and I was helping them out, but there was a few changes, and if I'm going to be going out of my way to help you out, we just need to understand that, appreciate that, and take that for what it's worth. And if we want to keep working on it and change 50 things, then we could work out something financially. But if you're going to work for something for free, I don't care what they say about your portfolio, but just make it on your terms and make sure you're having fun with it. Because you could, in service, whether you're consulting people, designing stuff, I'm sure really anything, you could work as much as you want for free, but you still want your own time. So don't just burn yourself in the ground.
Well, or you become bitter about what the thing you do, right? So that's the other thing. You sell yourself short, and if it's not something that's fun, and if it's not on your own terms, and you really are doing it for air quote free, then that makes perfect sense.
Hopefully.
Cool. Guess what time it is, Bryce?
It's 40 minutes, so my commute to and from school has almost concluded.
But it's time for those questions that I asked. So I'm going to do something unprecedented on the show. I'm going to let you pick some of the gold standard questions I ask. So I ask, there's like a few: biggest win, biggest loss, what do you wish every human would know, gold medal mind advice for others. But I'll let you pick two of those questions that you want to answer.
Well, I don't want to do biggest win because I'm confident that hasn't happened yet. So let's ditch biggest win. I'll answer. I wish everyone knew that we're not all against each other. I mean, myself in business, there's people in the same field, and I have people contacting my manufacturers trying to tell them stories to get me to not work with the manufacturers, and there's people trying to like butt heads and put me against them. And in reality, I mean, one of our good friends, Lynn, she always says, just have your slice of the pie. So you can make the pie bigger or have your own slice, but you don't have to bash and get rid of other people because of it. That's not going to help you at all. So I think you could definitely, it's to your own gain or not, just work with other people and be nice, because of I don't think there's ever a benefit of trying to go against someone. Just do your thing and that'll work, and let them do their thing and that'll work, and you probably are doing something different and have different client base anyways. There's enough room for both of you. There's no reason to bash someone.
Yes, I love it. Competing with versus against.
I agree.
You compete with, because when you cross the finish line, everyone goes their separate directions anyway. That's
a nugget.
After the cool down, of course. All right, Bryce, thank you so very much for being on the show and lending your talent to my career. How, where,
so can
people find you?
Yes, I'd love for your listeners to add me on LinkedIn. I'm trying to build that up. Bryce Betts.
You're making a big LinkedIn push.
Yeah. Right. I have the other stuff, but Bryce Betts, BryceBetts, and then My website, if you would like to reach out to me or check out some of my design work, is brycebettsdesigns.com. My contact information's on there. I have Twitter, BryceBetts132, Instagram, YouTube if you like bicycles. But yeah, definitely reach out, and I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions about anything design-wise, I would love to talk about it and start a conversation.
You know what, Bryce? I forgot to ask you a question.
Let's hear it.
And I don't even know if I'm going to edit it to put it in the right order. But how do you keep all your stuff in order? Like all the stuff you have to do. What tools do you use?
Well, I'm young, so I like tech. You know what? My Google Calendar. I use Google Keep. I always write stuff down. But I can't say that I've mastered everything. I'm always trying new things. I am taking an online class this semester for one of my classes, and I'm trying this time to try my first time I have a real calendar that I'm writing stuff down and to make it tangible. So I'm writing on my schoolwork in there, but I don't think there's an answer for one thing, but whatever that is, just have a system. So for my design work, I set a queue up in either my website where orders come through for number plates, or I'll have a queue, just a checklist on Google Keep, and I'll just make sure I go down the checklist and just get something done.
Nice. And so the reason why I asked that question is because I had a feeling it would be a few different ways you do it. And I've noticed that and we talked about procrastination earlier, and one of the things I've noticed about people who procrastinate is they love going to work on going to work on going to work on going to work. Meaning they won't just get to work, they'll just make all these lists. Like they're constantly getting ready to go to work.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm going to create this system, and then I'm going to get this system dialed in, and then I'm going to have this list. And it's like this constantly getting ready. It's like when you're going out with friends and everybody needs to stop at the store. It's like, what do you need at the store? Like, get dressed and go to the club. We don't need anything from the store, but they keep making all these stops on the way. But people do that with work, and I wanted to ask you that question because you are highly productive. You do get a lot of stuff done, and I had a feeling that you play with a lot of different ways to stay on top of things, which I guess I'm going on a little soapbox here. But the moral of the story is what's important to you will always get done. It almost doesn't matter what the system is. It's good to have one, but it's okay that it changes, and it's okay that you might go between a few or use a few different ones.
Yeah. I think the peace of mind of having something there is nice, but at the end of the day, you could write the biggest list, including what you're going to have for lunch and where you're going to eat dinner and everything in between. But it doesn't. If you're just doing something, you're going the right path, right? So just do something.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
But all right, I think we're good. Sorry about that. Gold medal mindset off on a tangent, but that's okay because that's how we do things. That was a good conversation. All right, Bryce. Thanks. So Bryce at BryceBetts132 on Twitter and Instagram. Your LinkedIn is Bryce Betts, BryceBetts, and your website is BryceBettsDesigns.com. It's been a pleasure, as always.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Thanks for joining in, and we will see you next time. Peace. Thanks for taking the time to mine for gold on the Gold Medal Mindset podcast. Let's keep the conversation going on Twitter at RealDrJRich or on the web at drjasonrichardson.com. That's drjasonrichardson.com. Take care and have a great day. Gold Medal Mindset is brought to you courtesy of IPD Seminars. Make an impact, live with purpose, and fulfill your destiny. Learn the mindset and best practices to crush any limit. Visit ipdseminars.com for more information. We also like to thank Life Advantages Prep, making school not suck for high school kids already immersed in sport, tech, the arts, or whatever their passion may be. For more information on winning at LAP, please visit lifeadvantagesprep.com.